Each PartyCAD 12 project contains one and only one design. If you click on the design panel will appear, and you can click Edit Design to make a change to your design. If the design is hidden, like so, another way to edit the design is to click the Edit Design button up here in the menu bar. Here I'll re-show that design. Finally, you can edit a design by right-clicking on the design itself, which is what I'll do now. All of these are ways that you can get to the design editor, the part of PartyCAD where you'll spend most of your time. Because of that, it's a good idea to master the design editor, and let's begin on that right now. Here we have a number of pieces of furniture. This is a set of tables and chairs. This is a box. This is a tree. All of these are referred to as pieces. Surrounding the pieces we have a plan. Plans in PartyCAD may be simple rectangular plans such as this one. It might be a picture that you've imported from outside PartyCAD, or it might be a 3D floor plan that you've built using the 3D plan editor. It's a good idea to keep your entire design within the limits of the lot. If you need to change the size of the lot, you can click here, Edit Plan, and change the size of the plan there. I'll just click Return without changing that. Let's talk about pieces and how to move them around. To select a piece, you click on it, and then you can drag with your mouse. Or you can select a piece and then click these arrows over here, and the piece will move 1 inch at a time. See the 1 inch here? I can move 1 foot at a time by clicking here. See, that changed to 1 foot. And now, every time I click, the piece will move 1 foot. I can click 0 here in distance moved if I know the exact distance that I want to move a piece, and then click multiple times to move it. We see this changes. These arrows are just fine, but you can also press the arrow keys in your numeric keypad, and that will move the piece along just as easily, sometimes more easily, because if you hold them, you'll get an automatic repeat. You can set a different distance to be moved than 1 inch or 1 foot by clicking this U button. It came up at 10 feet, but I could change that to be 5 feet 5 inches. And now every time I click an arrow key, the piece will move 5 feet 5 inches. Okay. To select a piece, as I said earlier, you just click on it. Usually this will work. However, if one piece is inside of another, here I put this box inside this box and this box inside this box. If I click on this outer box, it gets selected just fine. But if I click on the inner box, PartyCAD doesn't realize I'm trying to select a different piece because I'm still within the older one. So in a case like this, I need to double click to get that piece. I can get this piece because it's outside, but to get this piece, I need to double click. Don't worry too much about this. Your reflex is going to be to double click when single clicking doesn't work. Let's have another look at these boxes here. I can view my design from the front as well as from the top. If I click View from Front, I see that I'm looking at my design from a front view. These are the zoom button down here. I can drag a box around part of my design, and the screen will be zoomed in to show just the part that I've put in a box. So there are my 3 boxes, and the same thing applies. If one box is within the other, I need to double click to select it. Let's talk about jump. These boxes are all sitting on the ground, and you can tell that over here. See, the floor height's 0 inches. If I drag that box up, we see the floor height has been changed, and I can actually drag it down below the level of the ground if I like. Usually you'll want to put one piece on top of another, and the way you do that is select the piece that you want to jump onto, select the piece that you want to jump, and then click the Jump button. Select the piece you want to jump onto, select the piece you want to jump, click the Jump button. Select the piece you want to jump onto, select the piece you want to jump, click the Jump button. Here I'll zoom out you can quickly zoom out to see everything by clicking Zoom All Redraw. This redraws the screen. If I click, we see that I'm on this piece. If I want to jump this piece on top of that piece, I just double click to select it and click jump, and now it's on top. Notice there's a little blankness there. That's just a redraw problem. If I just click redraw, PartyCAD takes care of that for me. So now I've stacked my 3 boxes one on top of the other. And you can tell that by the floor heights over here. See the floor heights? The only one that has a floor height of 0 is the bottom box. I'll switch back to a top view by clicking View from Top. If I want to rotate a piece, I come to this section over here. You can click on the orange dots to rotate 45 degrees at a time, or you can drag in the central portion to get continuous rotation, or you can enter the number of degrees you'd like to rotate by clicking here and making whatever adjustment you like, 129 degrees. You can change the size of a piece using these boxes here. Sometimes this makes sense and sometimes it does not. If I click on width and change the width of my box to be 20 feet, that seems to work just fine in this case because it's a simple box. But if I select a set of tables and chairs and change the width of the tables and chairs to 20 feet, I could just enter 20 feet, it's a little quicker. We see that I end up with a mess. This is because this tables and chairs piece is actually a number of different pieces that have been welded together to make a single piece, and it doesn't stretch very well at all. Most people would agree. I can click Undo to undo the last operation that I've done. In the same way that I changed the width here, I could change its depth or height. Or I can change them all simultaneously. Let's take this box on top, and I will click Width and then Scale. When I click Scale, it means that as I change the width, the height and depth will change as well. So now I have just made a very much larger box out of that small top box. If I switch back to a front view, we'll see that sitting up there. Go back to a top view. I can change the color of a piece by clicking here. This is our top box. It's currently yellow. And I can preview that box by clicking here, Preview, and there it is in all its glory. I'll click Exit. To change the color, I click here in the color box and change it to orange. And now if I look in Preview, it's orange. This is fine for very simple pieces, but suppose you have a set of tables and chairs that has multiple colors. Here's what it looks like before I start messing with the color. And I know that white was the chair color, so I'll change that to blue. I know that pink was the tabletop color. I'll change that to red. And now the piece looks like this. Notice that when I changed the colors on this piece, the colors on these two did not change. This is because of a setting in the coloring menu. Here, let me set all of them to a different color. I'll click this one. And I'll click the pink color, and down here, change all pieces with this name. I'll check that box. And now when I click purple, we'll see that this piece has a purple tablecloth, and this piece does as well. Sometimes it's handy to be able to push a piece until it hits another piece. For instance, I could take this table and put it here, and then push it up until it hits something, hits this other table. Here, I'll drag it down. If I put the gap to a different amount, say 10 feet, and do a push, the piece is pushed up until it hits something and then moved back down 10 feet. So the distance from the back of this chair to the back of this chair is 10 feet. Usually you want your gap to be 0.1 inches. Although you can set it to 0 and that will work fine too. Sometimes you might want to center a piece relative to another one, and that's what these buttons are about down here. Let's just drag this bigger box over here and this smaller one down like so. Now if I click this button, center, left, right, it's as though it does a push left, a push right, and then takes the difference to center the piece between the 2 points where the pushes ended. If I click center, up, down, similarly I get the piece centered up and down. As I say, this is occasionally useful. These 2 buttons resize the piece in a similar fashion. If I click fit left, right, we see that the piece is expanded until it bumps into whatever is to its left and right. That pretty much covers the basics of messing around with pieces in the design editor, but there are a lot of powerful tools I haven't said a single word about that are covered in later videos. Let's just quickly go around and have a look at what I haven't said much about. Layer here allows you to place pieces on different layers, hide the layers, make them not selectable. There's a video about this if you're interested. Up here we can add text by clicking Add Label. Let's just do that. I can type in any text I want. ABE I'll put. And there I have a very teeny tiny, missed it. Click Undo. Double click. Here's ABE. It's tinier than I might like. It's just a piece of furniture, and so its size can be changed just by increasing its width. So there's ABE. Once I've changed the size of that first label, if I add another label, we'll call it FER, it will come in at the same size as the previous label. So if you're going to be doing a lot of labeling, get the first one sized correctly before you start adding them. So that's labeling. This draw command is used to draw shapes on the screen. That's covered in a later video. These are for loading pieces of furniture. This is the tent wizard. All of these are in separate videos. This will lock a piece. So for instance, I could click this and then click lock, and now it will be impossible for me to move that piece. This is very handy if you're doing a design in a tent. Lock the tent and you will never move it by accident. To unlock, you just click here. Duplicate piece duplicates a piece, putting it on top of the original, and we can move it off of there. Duplicate, and now I have another. Fill is a very powerful command, and there's a video just about that. Another very powerful command is select group, and again that's talked about in its own video. The grid button adds a grid to the design, so if you'd like to design on a grid, you can do that and just use that to position things. You can hide the grid by clicking it again. You can right-click the grid button to set the characteristics of the grid to anything you might like. Measure lets you, I'll turn the grid off. Measure lets you measure from any point to any other point on your design. So if I click measure and then drag from the A and Abe down to this table, center of the table, I see that distance is 20 feet 8 inches, or horizontally 11 feet, vertically 17 feet 6. Measure is very handy for checking the scale of pictures that you're using as plans. Finally, we come to delete here, which lets me delete pieces. I can click on a piece and then click kill piece and it's gone. Or I can select a piece and then press the delete key on my keyboard and that too will remove it. Or if you want to delete a whole bunch of pieces, you'll use select group, select all the pieces you want to delete, and then click delete selected. I'll undo that and they come back. I'll redo that and they disappear again. I'll undo that and they come back. Well, about the only thing I missed here is the menu bar items up here and the price list here. Price list has its own video. I'd suggest you watch that. And these menu bar items, clicking help takes you off to PartyCAD's extensive help system where you can learn all about what's under this button, File, and this one, Options. These contain features that not everyone uses, but boy, if you need them, they're mighty handy. Okay, we've had a quick look at everything there is to see in the design editor. We've missed a few very, very powerful things though, and so it would be a good idea to continue on and watch the next video in this series.